Welcome on back. So, while trying to find some bees here in the end, I had a little scuffle, let's say, with the locals, and I noticed that they were dropping netherite tier equipment. Not only that, but a lot of them they had like affixes on them, starting at the blue tier at the lowest. So we need to take advantage of this. First off, when you get off this island, though, I'm afraid if I set up a farm here that the Ender Dragon will destroy it when I need to kill it for some more neural network kills. And hey, first place we go to, got some chorus fruit. Nice. I need a whole bunch of these for some future stuff. And thankfully we can grow them in the hopper pots, so that's nice. Now we're on an island with a whole bunch of Endermen and more chorus fruits, but this is great. That means that all the nearby spawns are going to be spawning on this same island. So what I'm going to want to do is carve out a little hole here. And then I want to set up a pillar, and I want to make sure that that pillar is simultaneously not too close to the center, but also not too close to the edge. I'm sure you can gather what I'm planning with all these source stones. Did some counting, realized this is a little too small, so gonna need to expand this. So we'll just cut on ahead. Now, like I said, I want that pillar to be closer to one edge while not being too close. You'll see why here in a minute. Alright, next up we'll want to put down some railing and a minecart. And then just for now we'll want to temporarily set up an enclosed space here. And as you may notice going on in the background, apotheosis bosses spawn quite frequently up here. Usually they're purple or orange tier too. Now I got a mob yoinker with an endermite that I named. Dear Lord. This might have worked a little too well. God, I can't hear anything. Alright, let's get this portal made. Oh, thank God. Silence. So yeah, Endermen attack Endermites on sight, so you want to make sure that they can see the Endermite, but not be able to actually reach it and kill it. And then they just run straight into the portal. I originally brought fans along to blow them in case they were smart enough to not run in, but nope, they're all too glad to dive straight on in. And just look at that range too. Look from how far they'll go to move towards the trap. I'm just gonna set up a waystone so I can come on back here in the future. Let's see where this portal goes. Oh hey, we're in the end. Or I'm sorry, in the nether. And just showing off here, we got this ethereal glass. Regular ethereal glass, the player can walk through. Reverse stuff, the player cannot, but mobs can walk through. And I have since changed my blink spell to go to hell. So whenever I find any mobs, I can just send them straight into here to be farmed and collected. Likewise, there's a hopper underneath that collects all of the items in EXP. And I also have an evil craft pedestal nearby to collect the blood. And there I set up a warp plate so I can warp without having to use up levels. So that's nice. And look at all of this netherite equipment. As well as stuff being purple or even orange tier. Now before I actually do anything with those. Let's fix up this setup. I'm gonna want to clear out that central pedestal just to make sure that no Endermen warp on top of there and then get to the Endermite. And I'm kind of undecided here. I'm like, how am I going to get up there without having to build some blocks to let myself get up there without risking an Enderman running up there and getting the Endermite? Well, hey, I'll just teleport up here with the blink spell. I just want to make sure that the Endermite wasn't damaged, but it seems that when it's in the cart, I can't see its health, nor can I cast spells on it. So, whatever. If it dies, I guess I'll just make another one. As an aside, make sure you name the Endermite before you put it into the minecart, otherwise it'll still disappear. And, oh, okay. Hey, on my way back, here's a mythic tier apotheosis boss, so let's take him out. It seems to be an invoker with a diamond sword as well as a shield, even though he'll never use them. And if you're wondering, I did find a Heart of the Sea item, so I can now cast lightning. And as we can see here with this ghostly Enderman, if you kill a mob with lightning, it will like produce a ghostly form of that mob. And I'll need to go down the evil crafts route to be able to actually do anything with them. Which is kind of annoying though, because those spirits can still attack you, and you no longer are able to do anything to them. So, really, when I kill things with lightning, I just kind of create more trouble for myself. And yeah, fighting with AoE spells, surrounded by Endermen, not the greatest idea. And I now have a cold effect because there is another apotheosis boss nearby whose attack freezes me. So with that said, oh hey, that boss dropped a diamond helmet with an orange tier fix. Nice. I'm gonna want to build up some shelter here to protect myself from these bosses. That way, because unfortunately, with as awesome as this system is in getting me netherite gear and rarer affixes, I had to physically be in the area. Even if you load the chunk, mobs don't spawn there unless the player is actually in the area. So, no way for me to automate that while I'm away. I have to go back to the end and just AFK while things build up. But hey, destroying that mythic tier item, we now get the God Pearl. And now that we're getting access to those higher end materials, that reforging table I have now only lets me go up to blue tier. But there's a second version which requires some of the sands of the purple tier items to let you make purple and orange tier items. And of course I'm short on netherite yet again. Let's just head on back over here and mine up what we got right here. Okay, now I can make the highest available affixes for my equipment. There is a catch though. You need to be level 150 to get the best tier. Good thing I have all that liquid EXP saved up, yeah? Let's be standing next to that faucet and depositing EXP for a very long time. I mean, thankfully it doesn't actually use up 150 levels. You just have to be at that level. I think it uses up like maybe 6 levels worth, so not that bad. And we'll just set up some chorus fruit to grow while I do other stuff, because I'll need a lot of chorus fruit for some future projects. Now with all that said, let's show off the big project of today. We're going to need all the modium ingot I got from killing the Guardian, or the Warden. And in this room, I've got several chests set up. Let's break down the ingot into nuggets because for some strange reason, the salvager from Silent Gear is locked behind getting all the modium. We'll just go ahead and make all this. It also needs crimson steel, which requires crimson iron, and crimson iron is found in the nether. And there we go. As you can probably guess from the name, the salvager will salvage equipment. And then any equipment that gets salvaged will end up going into that bottom chest. So let's just grab some equipment, say one of these netherite equipment. And just to show here, I set up an importer onto that dimensional chest, which is hooked up to the drop tower in the nether, so all my drops automatically go into the refined storage system. And that's how you can transport stuff between dimensions, is using the dimensional chest. And this gear drops not only diamonds, but netherite ingots. And it just goes into the chest that I have all of my ores going into to then go into the refined storage system. Now, this here double chest, the reason why I'm using a double chest is so I can use multiple exporters on it. Because as far as I'm aware, you cannot tell an exporter, export every single sword, export every single chest armor, export every single pickaxe. You have to be export iron swords, stone swords. And so I'll just need multiple spots to slap on more exporters for when I want to tell it to export a whole bunch of different items. Now here I have enchantment extractor. Making that was kind of a pain in the ass because you need to create different types of machines. You'll need to export or get latex out of logs to get the latex, which is then used to create a simple machine. Then you need to make a farm animal crusher to get pink slime to then make an advanced machine, because apparently you need that McDonald's pink slime to run machines in this universe. Then I've set this enchantment extractor up. I have a upgrade in it that'll set to eject its contents into the nearest container. And then on the first chest, it'll have a blacklist for enchanted books. So that way only unenchanted weapons will end up back in that chest. And then likewise, everything goes in that chest, but the enchanted stuff goes into the disenchantment chamber. And then this way, all the unenchanted stuff will end up in that chest, and the books will go into that dimensional chest where they'll be placed somewhere else. And then in this filter right here, which I'll move, I have it set up so that it'll only export items that have an enchantment NBT tag on it. And this will work for any item that's enchanted. And then on the opposite here, I'll put on blacklist enchanted items. That way, all the unenchanted stuff goes into the proper chest. So as we see here, all the stuff's being taken out. Enchanted swords are ending up in this extractor right over here. The enchanted books are going into that dimensional chest. And then all the unenchanted stuff that ends up in the middle chest goes into the right chest. Beautiful. And then I have this chest here that is set up to avoid out any chainmail equipment, because the salvager cannot salvage chainmail armor, and you can only melt it down for a single iron nugget. So that's just not worth my time. And then once everything ends up in that chest, it goes all into the salvager. But I do make a little mistake here, and this is me realizing it. That bottom chest, the netherite one, with all the extra storage slots in it, that is actually meant to hold the apotheosis affixed items. So this chest will take anything that either doesn't have an apotheosis affix or is lower than rare tier quality. And that'll all automatically go in there to be salvaged. I want stuff that's rare or higher to end up in that other chest, so then I can come on in and manually take out whatever I want to then break down into rarity materials. Because as far as I'm aware, you can't actually automate that. You have to manually put them in the thing and then press the button. So as we can see here, I am putting some NBT data, this time for the affixed stuff. And then I'll want to do this for the next two tiers. Was it mythical and epic? So now these pipes will be set up to put in items that are not enchanted, and this is the incorrect pipe. I'll fix it a little bit later, but I'm just showing off how I'm doing this now. So one set of pipes will have filters that will accept anything that's not enchanted and doesn't have rare, epic, or mythical, and the other one will take items that aren't enchanted but do have rare, epic, or mythical. That way I don't have to worry about futzing through all that stuff. And just to mention the inverted tag, so, you know, instead of whitelisting and blacklisting, you can just invert something, which will then say, okay, this is supposed to be enchanted, inverted, okay, now it's not enchanted. So yeah, like I'm doing here now, I'm properly having this set up and inverting the different affix rarities. And there we go. Everything should be set up right. So I got a pair of rare affixed pants. Well, I had a pair of rare affixed pants. I guess I cut that part out that I threw in there to make sure everything was being set up right. So now all this equipment that I've been having in this chest since the start, pretty much, I can finally start breaking it all down, rip off all the enchantments, and salvage all the materials down for ingots. And then before I forget, I need to set up an exporter on the disenchantment machine to make sure that the refined storage system will constantly supply it with books. And there we go, mostly hands off. I'll need to set up a way to get books manually crafted or automatically crafted later, but we'll worry about that when we get to that point. And then just to show off real quick, this is where the books are going. Over here next to my enchantment system, which I'll be talking about here in a minute. And now I just need to set the exporter out to take all the netherite stuff out. Actually, first, let's have it set up to take out iron axes. In the mob farmer, vindicators will drop iron axes kind of regularly, in fact. So this would be a good way for me to break those down into useful iron ingots, and also free up my refined storage system. And now we're just going to throw all the netherite stuff here into the filter. By the way, when you're setting up an exporter, make sure you set the exact mode to off. Otherwise, it will only work for stuff that has like the same enchantments or the same durability. See, like how all these axes have lower durability. If I had exact mode on, those wouldn't have been exported. And this is what I mean by needing multiple exporters. I'm already full on that one slot, so I'll need to slap down a second exporter if I want to say, tell it to export all the diamond gear out, all the golden gear out. But yeah, look at all that netherite gear just ready to be reprocessed. Now anyways, let's head on back to the library. Now they do change up how enchanting works from the vanilla system. There's different stats your enchantment can have, and it's all pretty involved. So what I've got here are a bunch of hell shelves, and I just showed off the recipe on how to make a hell shelf. And then you need to then enchant hell shelves to infuse them, which gives you even better enchanting shells. And then you can like here's the requirements. You need at least 30 quanta, 25 or 22.5 eterna, which requires getting an entire tier of regular hell shelves, and then like some skull heads to get the quanta requirement. And I noticed here that equipment was being sent into this chest. It's because at the salvaging room, everything got overflowed. Yeah. I fixed this issue later by setting up a chest in between the disenchanter and the dimensional chest that that only allows enchanted books through. But we'll worry about this later. For now, what I'm going to do is realize I can use a cardboard box to move the chest instead of breaking it and having books fly out everywhere. And now, since I have 4 extra infused hell shells, I can make an enchantment library. And this is a very useful piece of equipment. So we'll just go ahead and hook up the pipe here. And all the books that go inside are now stored inside of that library. And so I'll need to start moving all these books on over. But what's nice is not only is this like a simple one-place solution to where all your enchanted books are at, but depending on what books you put in, that'll give you an availability of that level. For example, I put a level 4 looting book in, I can now get a level 4 looting enchantment back out of it. And then there's also a point system, so then if I were to put a whole bunch of more looting, even looting 1, 2, and 3 in there, it'll contribute points, and I can then pull out 2 looting 4 books, and then combine those on a smithing table, or was it an anvil? And then get an enchanting or a looting 5, and then throw that back into the library, and then I'll now be able to pull out looting 5 books from it. So yeah, very nice, very useful. And then here I'm just going to show off kind of the different tiers, or the intended progression, I guess, for your enchantment library. The next tier up, I'll need like deep shelves. And to get those, I'll need to go fight the warden some more. And then the end game is pretty much end shelves, which requires a whole bunch of other stuff. Namely, I'll need to get my Eterna up to be able to make infused dragon's breath. And to get to that Eterna level, I need to get these skulk shells or deep shells, which requires warden tendrils. So yeah, more wardens in my future. But yeah, this rules. Now I no longer have to worry about equipment taking up space in my inventory. And now, since I've got a few things, let's improve my equipment. For example, let's get a new backpack. Extra slots, but hoo boy, look at all those extra upgrade slots as well. And then we're going to want to make some marks of mastery, which requires 1 of each of the different essences here. And a Wilden Chimera tribute. We get 5 of those, which is enough to upgrade 4 pieces of mage armor as well as 1 focus. But that's not all. Since I now have chorus fruits on hand, I can upgrade my mage stuff into the tier 3. And then obviously tier 3 equipment needs to... Obviously to make tier 4 equipment, you need tier 3 equipment. And yeah, I didn't like how slow I was moving when I took my boots off. But I now get tier 3 slots. And it actually gets kind of annoying because the Starbuncle thread I have becomes tier 3. And I start being able to walk up blocks that are like three blocks high. But with that aside, later on I'll make my 4th tier mage robes, spoilers. I went with Pyro, and it didn't work out too well. So that's why I'm not showing it off here. But with the rest of our Aldomodium nuggets, we can make a mining dimension portal, or pad. And thankfully the game gives us a second one, so I'm not short Aldomodium to make a second one, because there are 2 versions of this. One you make in the nether, and then one you make here in the overworld. We'll just look at that one real quick. So you need to shift and right click with an empty hand, and you end up in the mining dimension. It is a completely flat piece of land. I'm kind of surprised that Botania flowers and Arcwood trees are spawning up here. And as a side note, if you look on the right, you can see we're at Y level 253. It's actually not a bad idea to throw some wind turbines up here. And hey, right off the bat, I've found emerald ores. So that's nice. As said by the name, there are a whole bunch of ores here. In particular, you can find some Aldomodium ore. Let's go ahead and harvest some of these, and apparently you cannot use the, you can't use, oh my god, what is it? Vein miner on these. But yeah, there we go. There's supposed to be 3, right? Yep, there it is. You have to manually harvest these, by the way. You can't use magic or, like automated miners. Also, I was running through here with a, a prospecting hammer, and Aldomodium wasn't showing up as a detected ore. God, look at all these ores I've been finding while digging through here. And I'm going to go ahead and just double up what I found now. I have future plans for ore processing. But, you know, getting about 34 Aldomodium, 32 Aldomodium here ain't too bad. Just go ahead and chuck that on in there. And yeah, the nether version, you end up in a place called the Other. And we'll see that in another video. Right now, though, let's collect some of our rewards, which gives you another Aldomodium block, which is nice. And side note, the Aldomodium blocks cannot be squeezed. So that's why I'm using my fortune pick instead of throwing them into the squeezer. So yeah, I'll need to rework my ore processing because I can't use the squeezer for those type of ores. And now that I've got more ingots here, I can be a little more liberal with my use. Namely, I want to make the Aldomodium site powders. So yeah, just like with any other ingot, you can crush them with a mortar and pestle, then you burn the resulting powder, and you can make some site potions. So I'll be doing that off screen, hunt down some more Aldomodium. I'll see you all next time.